Good afternoon, my YouTube viewers. Mike here. This is, as you can see, this is an emphasis Norway shirt here on the eve of Eurovision tonight, and that's why I'm wearing this. And I think it's quite pertinent. I'm not sure that's the right word. Quite to the point that I'm wearing this shirt because the title of this video is called Escape to Scandinavia. Now it sounds like a movie thriller, but it's not. It's about my life and about how I when I was younger wanted to escape this country. I'll go rewind. I'll go back to the 90s, or the early 90s. Now so I left home when I was 19, which would have been about 1986. So 1986 I left home, and and this was the time of government of Margaret Thatcher, and dear me, hold on, bit of technical issue here. There we go, that's better. So this is time of Margaret Thatcher, and there was lots of unemployment, and significantly, one of the most famous sayings she said, "There's no such thing as society." Now, to me, that was part of this individualist, look after yourself, responsibility crap, and so that made me think, yes, okay, that's the way you run society. That's the way you run a nation, is it? That's people thinking themselves, I'm all right, Jack. That sort of attitude, and I wasn't too keen on it, to be honest. This sort of thing, this sort of mentality, which allows inequality to grow and poverty to grow. Just don't like that attitude. I just feel this self-responsibility stuff is yes, you've got to be responsible for yourself, but you should also think of others. But I think this self-responsibility idea, it encourages selfishness. I think it's you don't have to worry about, you don't have to think of others, you just think of yourself. I think it encourages that, and I don't think selfishness, or that sort of mentality is good or positive or progressive, and it's very uncaring philosophy. I've never believed in that. Maybe it's my upbringing, I don't know, maybe, but I don't like it. I've never liked it, and I don't like injustice, and I'm just and encouraging neglect and abuse and defamation of people who can't get along so well, and if that's right, if that's the sort of country that we're supposed to be living in, I at the time I thought, well, that's not great, no. But when I left the home, I never really thought about other countries. In fact, I never really thought about other countries being better than my own. And this is what this is about. Just because you are a citizen of a country doesn't mean that country is the best in the world. That's not how things work in the real world. So to me, but there wasn't I didn't really think about it like there was some other countries that might be better than it. And I was English. I was brought up English. I wear an England football shirt, and that's it. And and then you sort of think, well, I guess I just started to find out when I left home that there's other countries in the world, and other countries do things differently, and in some cases they do things better. And so the more I found out about Scandinavia, the more I was impressed. At the time, this is the early 90s. Yeah, not perhaps Sweden in particular, not as good as it was. Like I'm talking about like 50s, 60s, 70s, and almost Sweden in particular, almost perfect, almost perfect, almost utopian. I would say. Now, no society is perfect, but I didn't like the emphasis of the way British was. I thought it was very unjust, very uncaring mentality, very individualist, very selfish, and I looked to somewhere else. I looked to Scandinavia as a place where things were fairer, people cared more, equality was important, and fairness was important. Perhaps it's my socialist leanings, but I believe that you should have a cradle to grave society where you look after people, where you tax people who can manage it, they can afford it, and you help the people who can't. So I was impressed. I was so impressed. I started learning Swedish. I learned a bit of Norwegian. I studied the culture. I studied the language and the history. And the more impressed I became, the more fed up I became of this country, realizing there was actually somewhere else better than this. There is a better place than this. But some people are so narrow-minded that they think, oh, I'm English. Oh, we're perfect. We've never done anything wrong. We are the perfect nation. We do everything right. We do everything right because we are British. Sorry, I'm not falling for that. And I didn't fall for that. And so much so that I wanted to go and live in Sweden. I had no idea how to. But I knew that I wanted to. It's about getting a visa, I suppose. I mean, getting a passport, a new passport, learning the language. I did start learning the language. Yeah, so I was getting quite good at language, and I was learning, and I was progressing actually. And but I never had the skills, never had the qualifications, never had anything to offer. I knew that, and that's the problem. I was so fed up with this sort of the attitude of this country at that time that I always wanted to leave. Okay, yeah. Scandinavia, the Nordic countries, not perfect. No country's perfect. But I could definitely say then, and I could definitely say now that these countries are better than my own. I don't care. I don't even care if you're going to call me a traitor. Call me a traitor. I do not care. Because I think it's not about where you come from. It's how you treat people. That's what really matters. And this is what I'm talking about. And yes, things were bad then in this country. And yeah, Sweden's not as good as it used to be. They've had a lot of problems with crime, and even the immigration. They don't have the infrastructure to look after the people who have immigrated to the country. But you see, yes. So there is that fact. Norway, Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Sweden, all have the problems. But they still have that progressive nature. They're still looking to move forward, be progressive, look to the future, try to be more civilized, try to be more decent, try to be more democratic. There is that attitude, and I admire that attitude. And when I look at and that was then, but now look at now. Look at the way things are now. Where is this country going? Is this country going to be fairer, more caring, look after the old, look after the young, look after the weak? No, it's not. It looks like it's going the other way. You know, I despise selfishness. I despise this sort of greed and this sort of desire for money, putting money above the needs of people, and I can see this country going even further that way. And am I any better? Am I in a better position now than I am then about going to that country? Not that I am now, because I'm not even thinking about that now. I'm in a different situation. But the way things are going, I think if we have a reform government, I'm going to say we have a reform government in 3 years' time, my desire to leave and escape to Scandinavia will be so much more. Because I didn't like it then, I'm going to like it even less in 3 years' time if that happens. But am I in a better position than I was then to go? No. I think they've got enough people there. I think they've got enough foreigners there, to be honest. I don't think the population want that, really. And so, yeah, it's a different government. A different, more perhaps right-leaning government they have in Sweden in particular. If out of all the Nordic countries, I would actually like to live, it'd probably be Denmark now. In Copenhagen, perhaps, or one of the nearby towns near Copenhagen, if I actually lived anywhere else. So that's where I am. I was ashamed to be British in the early 90s. If Reform get in 3 years' time and they implement their policies, I'll be even more ashamed. And I'm not ashamed. What I'm not ashamed of is admitting that. What I'm not ashamed of is admitting that I am ashamed to be British, if that happens. But I'm not going there. I'm not going to any Nordic country, despite how bad this country is. And, you know, that's where we are. That's where we're at. And, yes, heja Sverige. And I hope the Eurovision goes well tonight, seeing as we are on Eurovision Day. And it'd be nice if a Nordic country won it. And Sweden have done particularly well. And yes, I'm looking forward to that. And that's partly, and of course, that's why I'm wearing a Norway shirt. And thank you for this watching my video. I shall conclude here. Please subscribe and like my video. Thank you. Goodbye.